My volunteer's going to arrive in a few minutes and the shop still isn't open, and I've just decided to record in my car. I suppose I am a bit later than I ordinarily would be for a Saturday morning, but that's my excuse. It's Saturday, and usually, touch wood, things are a bit quieter on the roads on a Saturday morning, and thus I was taking advantage of that. Hey everyone, my name is Charlie, and today I want to talk about nothing in particular. October started on Tuesday, and it started off quite successfully for me. I listened to the hour I wanted to listen to of Wuthering Heights, and then I read 100 pages of Martin Chuzzlewit, and I got one chapter through The Haunted Hotel. I wanted to finish The Haunted Hotel and Wuthering Heights by tomorrow, and I don't know whether that's going to happen because when Wednesday came around, I just ended up wanting to write. So I finished up Tuesday downstairs. I reached the 100-page mark on Martin Chuzzlewit, and then I watched a bit of telly, and then I went to bed. But when I got to bed, I ended up writing. And something came along and spurred me on to work on the final Doris book. So then when I woke up on Wednesday, that's all I wanted to do was write. So I transposed everything I wrote onto my computer, and then I ended up writing more, and I just spent the entire day working on the final Doris book before going off to Poems and Pints in Goose Tree. I read 2 poems, but obviously that's your night gone then. And Thursday came around. Thursday was National Poetry Day. The writers of the writers group we held a reading downstairs at Macclesfield Library. We all had multiple poems to read each, and we did that for the 2 hours. Then a few of us went off for coffee. Then I went home. And obviously all that Thursday was about was me waiting for RuPaul's Drag Race UK to arrive. And so after tea, I happened to log on to BBC iPlayer, and Drag Race UK was actually available at 7:45, so I was thrilled. I watched that. I found it hilarious. I was laughing quite manically at some points. My father commented on it. It's just strange seeing something that I've been watching for years now filled with some very British humour, and I spent the entire time wondering how that I can't shut out this one little piece of air right here. I can't figure out how this would translate to a US audience, and I was listening to them. I thought this is going to be one of those situations where they're going to have subtitles like they apparently considered when Cheryl was on the X Factor USA. Remember, she was supposed to be the new judge, then she got replaced with Nicole Scherzinger, that whole thing. This was back in the day when I paid attention to celebrity gossip, and so then I've been waiting around for Dragula Season 3 Episode 6 to come around. So after Drag Race UK was finished, I just went on Amazon, and that happened to be on there as well. So I had 2 hours of watching drag shows. And then afterwards, my sister was watching Gavin and Stacey because we've never seen it before. I'd planned to watch it in the run-up to Christmas because of the new Christmas special. And I found out my sister had already watched nearly 2 series worth. So I watched a bit of that with her. Friday came around and I was back to work after being off since the 23rd of September. And this was the first time where I've not wanted to go back. Usually, when I take time off, because I'm not going anywhere, I have no plans, I don't have the money for a holiday, I can't be doing any of that. So usually, I would be bored and think, well, I'm ready now, I've relaxed a bit, recuperated, I'm ready to go back to work. Didn't happen this time. I could have had another 5 years off, quite honestly. I wasn't feeling it, and so I came in yesterday morning and someone said, how was your break? So I don't want to be here. And I know you shouldn't say that, especially when people who actually also work above me management could see this video, but what the heck. And I was on the till, I just wasn't feeling it the entire day. The entire day felt as though it dragged. Then I got home, made tea for everyone. My dad and my brother disappeared somewhere without telling me they were leaving. great stuff. So I was just in the house on my own. And I'd just sat down to start reading Martin Chuzzlewit when they came back in. They'd been gone an hour. Why did they have to come back then? So then I didn't read Martin Chuzzlewit. I ended up on my computer and for some reason decided to start a free trial on Ancestry.com and spent an hour writing up the family tree that I know of, which is extremely convoluted and complicated. And I only got up to my mum's grandparents. I actually knew it was convoluted before I started inputting all this data. Anyway, I am now at work again, and it's Saturday, and I can't say that I am really excited to be here. Whilst I've been off, Dane of Dane Reads sent me the edits he's done for my secret book, and we've been chatting about that. And the day after he sent them, I went through all these changes, and I went into the document he'd sent and into my original document and started making all the changes he'd suggested, and I worked for 6 hours copying from one to the other, and I only got through 20 pages. So I sent a message to my friend Lindsay in Berlin, and I said, it's got to be easier than this. And she said, you should just be able to press a button and accept all the changes. And I did. And then I went through and felt incredibly stupid because I was checking them against my document and to make sure that it made sense. But I couldn't believe it, honestly, that I spent 6 hours there that could have been done in a second just pressing a button. Went back to it the next day to work on all the notes that were on the side. So I think I started working on it on Friday, and yeah, I worked all the way through until Monday when I finished reading Once Upon a River, which I've talked about. We also saw everything that happened on the first day of October with my curry. I did question whether I should actually try and do a different recipe dependent on what I'm reading each Tuesday, because usually that's a day that I don't have to work. You know, so we've had butternut squash and sweet potato curry with Martin Chuzzlewit. Whilst I'm still reading Martin Chuzzlewit this Tuesday coming, I could go with one of the audio books. So I'm hoping to finish Wuthering Heights and The Haunted Hotel. So I'll be listening to Middlemarch. So it could be something to do with Middlemarch. I mean, sweet potato curry wasn't really anything to do with Martin Chuzzlewit, but you know, I could finally make ginger biscuits or ginger cake or an apple sponge. It's been ages since I made an apple sponge. I make that because we've got to have gluten-free in my house because my father's celiac. And if I try making any sort of gluten-free pastry, it never works. So I just started making an apple sponge, and it usually turns out okay. There's a lot of autumnal recipes. I only seem to bake in the autumn or around this time of year. I feel like I'm at my best between October and May, and then those next few months, however many months there are there, just like I'm not here for them. In fact, I don't know why I said May, because we get to April and that's the cruelest month. And I'm not the biggest fan of January or February. So, October, November, December. Then I go into hibernation for 2 months. And then I have 2 months of greatness. Lie, there's no greatness there to be found. And then I'm back to my usual pessimistic self. Actually, I spend my life being a pessimist. Quite fun, actually. If you keep your sights low, then whilst it's usually easier to be disappointed, it comes with the whole thing of, oh, well, whilst I'm disappointed, it's not necessarily unexpected. Well, that's a glum note to end things on, but that's where it's going to end. I'm going to go inside and have a brew, because my dad went out with the younger brother again, because they're going to sell some sheep today. It's October, it's that time of year, spring lambs. I miss out on getting to go to Bakewell, one of my favourite places, because I've got to work. That's another sheep sale, but usually me and my mother go, and we wander around Bakewell all day, and it's just fantastic. And I can't go this year because I gotta work. It doesn't matter anyway, my mother's going to be in Mallorca. And quite honestly, we could just drive up to Bakewell at any point. I don't know why we just wait until the sheep sales happen. It's only an hour away. Anyway, I'm going to disappear because my dad wasn't there to make me a brew this morning, and that's usually the one cup of tea that I get made for me in a day. So I'm going to disappear and I'm going to make myself one, and I'm just going to cry into a cup. I'm not going to cry. I've not cried since June 2018, and even then that was at a funeral. How's your week been? What are you reading? What are you writing? What are you watching? What are you listening to? I hope that you have got something out of this video besides sheer boredom. And until next time, that is all.